Hi guys, good morning. So today I am going to be reading with you your assigned chapters 21 and 22 of The Side of the Beaver. This is your last week reading this novel, so I hope you're liking the book. And then next week you guys are going to get to watch the movie, and then you're going to do a comparing paper of the book and the movie. Okay, so take your books out. Please turn to page 110. Chapter 21. We could all pretend we're sitting in the back table in our classroom and we're in our reading group. Except this time, you can enjoy hearing me read to you. Okay, ready? Page 110. Chapter 21. Then, one morning, Etienne returned. Matt had been waiting, watching the forest trail impatiently, unwilling to go far from the cabin lest he miss the boys coming. But when finally he saw Etienne approaching, his heart sank. Etienne was not alone. His grandfather stalked by his side. Matt sensed that this meant trouble. Perhaps Saknus had come to reproach him. He would surely know that the two boys had been neglecting those lessons. Dreading to face the old man, Matt walked out to meet him, courteously giving the greeting he had learned. Saknus returned his greeting with dignity. He did not smile. His solemn face made Matt's heart sink still lower. Then startled, Matt turned toward Etienne. He did not dare to ask a question, but he saw at once that there was no need to ask. No doubt about it. Etienne had found his Matantu. He had changed. He stood straighter and taller. He looked older, and Matt suddenly realized why. The black hair, which had always hung straight down almost to his shoulders, was shaved away. His scalp, like his grandfather's, was bare except for a single patch running back from his forehead and braided into a top knot, fastened with red string. Like the fresh bear grease that glistened on his skin, pride glistened all over him. Moreover, he carried a gleaming new rifle. "You got a gun?" Matt cried, politeness forgotten. "My grandfather traded many beaver skin," Etienne answered. Though he had in these last days, become a man. He had not learned altogether to hide his feelings. He did not say more. He waited now for his grandfather to speak. The old man's face was grave, but he did not ask about the lessons. "Time of sun gets shorter," he said, "like footsteps of bird, soon ice on water." "I know it's October," Matt said. "Maybe November." He had not wanted to count his sticks these last weeks. "Indian go north now," Saknus continued. "Hunt moose, all Indians go. Etienne not come more to learn white man's signs." Matt could not answer. "White father not come," Saknus went on. Matt spoke quickly. He ought to be here any day now. Saknus looked at him soberly. "Maybe him not come," he said quietly. Anger flared up in Matt. He could not allow this man to speak the fear he had never dared to admit to himself. "Of course he'll come," he said too loudly. "He might even come today." "Snow comes soon," Saknus persisted. "Not good white boy stay here alone. White boy come with Indians." Matt stared at him. Did he mean go on the hunt with them? The most important hunt of the year? Saknus smiled for the first time. Saknus teach white boy hunt moose like Etienne. White boy and Etienne be like brother. A sudden joyful hope sprang into Matt's mind. He realized at this moment just how anxious he had been. This was a way out. He did not have to stay here alone through the long winter. Then, as swiftly as it had come, this new hope died away. In spite of his longing, in spite of being afraid, he knew what he had to answer. "Thank you," he said. "I'd like to go on the hunt, but I can't do that. When my father comes, he wouldn't know where I had gone." "Leave white man's writing." Matt swallowed hard. "Something might happen to the cabin." "He's trusting me to take care of it." "Maybe him not come," Saknus said again, not smiling now. "He'll be here soon," Matt insisted. He was ashamed that his voice broke in the middle of a word. If he couldn't come, he'd send someone to tell me. He'd find some way no matter what happened. "You don't know my pa." Saknus was silent for some time. "White boy good son," he said at last. "But better you come. Sackness glad for white boy be Nuicus. Matt could only keep shaking his head. The man's words had brought a great lump in his throat. Thank you, he managed. You've been very good to me, but I have to stay here. Without another word, Sackness held out his hand. Matt put his own hand into that bony grasp. Then the two Indians turned and went away. Atine had not even said goodbye. There would be no lesson that morning, no story, no trampling in the forest or fishing. Not this morning or any other morning. Close to panic, Matt wanted to run after them. He wanted to tell them that he had changed his mind, that he would go with them anywhere rather than stay here alone with winter coming on. But he set his jaw tight and stood where he was. After a few minutes, he reached for his axe and fell to splitting logs with a fury. He couldn't keep from thinking, however, was he just being foolish and stubborn? Wasn't going with them the wisest thing he could have done? Wouldn't his father have understood? He remembered hearing that many white men and white women too, who had been captured by the Indians and had lived many years in the wilderness, did not want to return to the white world when they had a chance, but had chosen instead to live with the Indians. He had never understood that, but now he could see very well how it might happen. He no longer distrusted them. He knew that Atine and his grandfather would be kind, that even the grandmother would make him welcome, and that they would share with him whatever they had. No matter how little, he had found friendship and goodwill in their cabin. He had envied Atine his free, unhampered life in the forest, and the boisterous companionship in the village. If he had been taken captive as a child and raised as an Indian boy, how would he himself have chosen? It wouldn't be the same to make that choice deliberately. He was proud that they had wanted him to live with them. But he knew that he could never be really proud, as Atine was proud of being a hunter. He belonged to his own people. He was bound to his own family, as Atine was bound to his grandfather. The thought that he might never see his mother again was sharper than hunger or loneliness. This was the land his father had cleared to make a home for them all. It was his own land too. He could not run away. He was troubled that Atine had walked away without a word of farewell. Had he been offended? Had he really wanted Matt to go with them, to be a brother? Or was he only obeying his grandfather as he had to do about the lessons? It was hard to tell what Atine was thinking. Atine had become a hunter. He had a gun. He would not have time now to wander through the forest or to listen to stories. He would not have to bother any longer with a white boy who would never really be a mighty hunter. But surely Atine could have held out his hand as his grandfather had done. Chapter 22, page 115. Every morning, in spite of himself, Matt kept an eye out for Atine. When 4 days had gone by, he decided there was little chance that he would see his friend again. Doubtless the Indians had already left the village and were on their way north. So when he saw Atine coming through the woods with his dog at his heels, he ran across the clearing to meet him, not bothering to hide his relief and pleasure. "You think different?" Atine asked quickly. "You go with us?" Matt's eagerness died away. "No," he said unhappily. "Please try to understand, Atine. I must wait for my father." Atine nodded. "I understand," he said. "My grandfather understands too. I do same for my father if he still lived." The two boys stood looking at each other. There was no amusement and no scorn in Atine's eyes. How very strange, Matt thought. After all the brave deeds he had dreamed of to win the boys' respect, he had gained it at last just by doing nothing, just by staying here and refusing to leave. "My grandfather sent you gifts," Atine said now. He unstrapped from his back a pair of snowshoes. They were new, the wood smooth and polished, the netting of deer hide woven in a neat design. Before Matt could find words, Atine went on. "My grandfather sent gift. My grandmother sent gift," he said. He took from his pouch a small birch basket of maple sugar. Late in the season like this, Matt knew sugar was scarce and dear to the Indians. "Thank you," he said. "Tell your grandmother that when you come back, I'll help gather more sap for her." Atine was silent. "Not come back," he said then. "In the spring, I mean, when the hunt is over." "Not come back," Atine repeated. "Not live in village again. Our people find new hunting ground. But this is your home." "My people hunters." My grandfather say many white men come soon, cut down trees, make house, plant corn, where my people hunt. What can Matt answer to this? He had only one argument to offer. Your grandfather wants you to learn to read, he reminded Atine. I haven't been much of a teacher, but when my family comes, it will be different. My mother will teach you to read and to write too. What for I read? My grandfather mighty hunter, my father mighty hunter, they not read. Your grandfather wants you to be able to understand treaties, Matt insisted. We go far away. No more white man, no need to sign paper. An uncomfortable doubt had long before been troubling Matt. Now, before Atine went away, he had to know. This land, he said slowly, this place where my father built his cabin, did it belong to your grandfather? Did he own it once? How one man own ground, Atine questioned. Well, my father owns it now, he bought it. I not understand, Atine scolded. How can man own land? Land same as air. Land for all people to live on, for beaver and deer. Does deer own land? How could you explain, Matt wondered to someone who did not want to understand. Somewhere in the back of his mind, there was a sudden suspicion that Atine was making sense and he was not. It was better not to talk about it, Instead, he asked, where will you go? My grandfather say, much forest where sun go down, white man not come so far. To the west. Matt had heard his father talk about the west. There was good land there for the taking. Some of their neighbors in Quincy had chosen to go west instead of buying land in Maine. How could he tell Atine that there would be white men there too? Still, they said there was no end of land in the west. He reckoned there must be enough for both white men and Indians. Before he could think what to say, Atine spoke again. I give you gift, he asked, son. Dog like you, I tell him stay with you. You mean you're not taking him with you? No good for hunt, Atine said. Walk slow now. Good for stay here with Medade, with white brother. Atine's careless words did not deceive Matt. He knew very well how Atine felt about that no-good dog that followed him everywhere he went. And Atine had said, white brother. Matt could not find the words he needed, but he knew there was something he must do. He had to have a gift for Atine, and he had nothing to give, nothing at all that belonged to him. Robinson Crusoe? What could that mean to a boy who would never now learn to read it? He did have one thing. At the thought of it, something twisted tight in his stomach, but it was the only thing he had that could possibly match the gifts Atine had given him. Wait here, he told Atine. He went into the cabin and took down a tin box. The watch was ticking away inside it. He had never forgotten to wind it, even when he was too tired to notch a stick. Now he lifted it out and held it in his hand, the way he had held it when his father had given it to him, as though it were a fragile bird's egg. His father would never understand before he could think about it another minute. Matt hurried back to where Atine stood waiting. I have a gift for you, he said. It tells the time of day. I'll show you how to wind it up. Atine held the watch even more carefully. There was no mistaking that he was pleased and impressed. Probably, Matt thought, Atine would never learn to use it. The sun and the shadows of the trees told him all he needed to know about the time of day. But Atine knew that Matt's gift was important. Fine gift, he said. He put the watch very gently into his pouch. Then he held out his hand awkwardly. The two boys shook hands. Your father comes soon, Atine said. I hope you get the biggest moose in Maine, Matt answered. Atine turned and walked into the woods. The dog sprang up to follow him. Atine motioned him back and uttered one stern order. Puzzled, the dog sank down and put his chin between his paws. As Atine walked away, he whined softly, but he obeyed. Matt knelt down and put his hand on the dog's head. Okay, so that's the end of our chapters for today. Tomorrow, I am going to read to you guys your next chapters, chapters 23 and chapters 24. So don't read it right now, wait for me. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of your questions with you right now that you have to answer. So I'm going to look at my computer at the same time. Okay, so come with us is your first part. The first question asks, how did Matt know that Atine had found his Manitou? Give several reasons why. Okay, so if you were listening to me read, the very beginning of chapter 21, the first page, I read it. So they talked about how he stood straighter and taller. That's a reason. He looked older. And what about he shaved his head? He shaved his head except for one single patch that was running from his forehead, and he braided it into a top notch. So those can work as your answers. Just please make sure that you are writing in complete sentences. And if you're wondering, you can list them. Okay, let's look at the second question. Why did Zacchaeus think that Matt should go with the Indians? So think about why he should go with the Indians. And I want you to list several reasons why. So again, in chapter 21, I read, so for starters, think about what season it is and what's going to come. Winter, okay? So it's going to be snowing soon, winter. He's going to be left alone by himself. What if his father doesn't come back and his family? So those are all reasons why maybe he should go. Okay, so you can give more answers. You can give the ones I just said. Just make sure you use lots of details. Okay, now if you move on to the second page, come with us in your opinion. Now these, boys and girls, are going to all be different answers. One of you may write something, the other may write something completely different, but guess what? You're both right. Because it's an opinion. So, do you think Matt should go with the Indians? I'm very curious what you guys are going to say here. So, what do you think? Do you think he should go? Do you think he's better off going because they know how to hunt, they know how to live, or do you think not? Do you think he should stay? Maybe his dad and his family will show up. Maybe they won't. What are you thinking? And then the second question is, do you think Etienne wants Matt to come with the Indians? So think about what Matt started thinking. So again, the question is, do you think Etienne wants Matt to come with the Indians? So Matt was starting to think in the chapter, he was saying, I wonder if Etienne really wants me to come. Does he really want me to come? Or does he just pretending he wants me to come, like his grandfather made him go learn how to read? So think about that. And again, it's an opinion. You're not wrong, whatever you write. All right, almost done. Now we have the next part, okay? The gifts, all right? Who gave Matt the gift pictured below in each box? And why do you think they chose that gift? So there's 3 pictures, okay? I want you to look at the first one, all right? Think about that. The first one we'll do together. That's from Etienne's grandmother. She knew Matt had a sweet tooth, right? So she gave him some sugar. And this time of year, there was barely any sugar. So he's very grateful for that. Now I want you to look at the second picture. Think about who gave that to Matt. And then the final picture. There's only 2 more people to pick from. So you'll get it right. Okay, now for the last part for today, the watch, in your opinion. So, do you think it was the right thing to do to give Etienne the watch? Now, friends, when we're back in school, I'll show you a sample of, or an example of what the watch looked like. So it's probably about this small, and he would wind it up each night, and it tells the time, okay? So Matt didn't know what to give him. He didn't want to give him that book because it would make no sense. He can't read. So giving him that gift is useless. So he found the watch that his father gave him before he left. And he said, that's it. That's the gift. So he gave it to him. But do you think it was the right thing? You tell me. And your final question for today is, do you think Matt's pa will understand about the watch? Do you think he's going to be upset? Do you think he'll get it? So I want you to think, this time frame was very long ago, years and years ago. It's not like Pa can go run to the mall and run into a jewelry store and go buy a new watch. right? It's a long time ago. Those jewelry stores didn't exist. So think, do you think Pa will be upset with him? Tell me. And again, can't be wrong on this answer. Okay, my friends, tomorrow I will be reading to you chapters 23 and 24, and we will go over the questions. So before I leave, I just want to show you my dog. If you heard any snoring during this, I apologize. She's snoring. Let me see if I can get a picture of her before I leave. Okay. Okay, guys, I miss you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.